Dude, it's my day off. I'm not wearing dog tribe gear because it's at my house.
You're not trying to represent?
I'm not trying to represent today. No, it's my day off. I don't want everybody to recognize us, all the shit that we talk. What were you talking about before I got up, started messing with this? We were talking about cameras.
Like security systems?
Oh, yeah, security. Yeah, I like the Ubiquity.
Yeah.
Ubiquity. Did you look at it at all or no? Ubiquity?
Not a ton. I just use ChatGPT to like create me a system. Seems reasonably cost. And like you get everything. Like the Simply Safe is like a $30 a month subscription.
What did they? Oh, because you were talking about meeting requirements for the Department of Agriculture, right? That's what. Okay.
Well, that's why I went to Simply Safe because they're like the cheapest fire suppression system kind of thing.
$600, right?
No, if we were just doing that, it's like $10 a month and it's like $30 a thing.
Dude, that's not
and
bad.
You technically need like one, but I went with like 5.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Go crazy.
Do you know why they have that now or no?
Why they have what?
Why they have that requirement?
It's in case it's for like whenever dogs are there, whenever it's unstaffed. So if there's like a fire, it can call the fire department without having to contact you.
But do you know why they have that rule?
Oh, no. You have a story or something?
Yeah, it was a story. Let's do a flashback to 2000. I think it was like 2018 or something like that. So basically, story goes, all of a sudden there's a house on fire. It's like a house, commercial, residential space, I think southwest suburb of Chicago. And it was all over the news, burned down overnight. I think 47 dogs burned up in it, right? And so it kind of like this big story because, first of all, there weren't supposed to be that many dogs in there, right?
Sure.
Second of all, I'm not sure if it had a Department of Agriculture license or not. And third of all, a bunch of the dogs that were there were actually rescue dogs. Oh. So they weren't owned by a lot of people. They were owned, I think 47 dogs died, but there was over 60 there. So the rest either got loose or they broke them open. And they started a campaign to locate some of the dogs that ran away after, they got lost in the fire, right? And so what had happened was that a lot of the rescue organizations, I won't name them, but you guys know who you are. And dude, they were, instead of euthanizing dogs, they were warehousing them. Right, so it's like, hey, I don't want to euthanize the dog. I'm looking for a permanent situation for him, so I don't have to think about him. And since a lot of these rescues are foster based, right? So if Ralph won't take him, and Oscar won't take him, or Patrick won't take him, then we run out of options, and then we're going to put them in this place, right? And this boarding situation is going to take him in. And I think the gentleman went to jail. Like he did some time, and he was arrested. He was charged, and I remember thinking how unfair the situation was, not only for the dogs, but everybody involved, because I knew some of the rescue groups and they had advocated for some of the dogs to be euthanized for dangerous tendencies, bite histories, all that kind of stuff. And so when I saw them on TV, I think some of them literally said, I knew they were there. This house was stacked with crates. It wasn't like a very livable situation, right?
Sure.
And it went south, fire happened. Some of the rescue organizations said, we only showed up there to drop off a check out in the parking lot. We never went inside. And I was like, okay, what's the deal here? So anytime someone struggles with euthanizing a dog for a behavioral problem, they're going to surrender them to a rescue. I just think about, there's just worse ways to go, right? Like you don't want the animal to be in a really dire situation for months and not years at a time and then have a tragic end, right? It's like it's a terrible story. Anyway, Then after that, the year later, I don't know if it was an actual law or just a policy change by the Department of Agriculture here in Illinois, but they changed it so that everyone either needed a suppression system or a fire alarm system in their facilities. So there's a little bit of Illinois dog culture history for you.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, all right, guys. So we are back at the Dog Tribe podcast. We've moved our studio to downstairs at the Dog Tribe space. You were asking me, why is it that we moved it? It's literally 3 flights up the stairs. When people get up there, it's like, man, they need to catch their breath.
Panting into the mic.
Dude, yeah. And the original space is meant to be like a green room, like a green space. So you would have, it's meant to hold on to heat and allow a lot of natural lights. So the plants were doing great. I'm sure if you look at some of the episodes, they're just like all over the place. But it gets really hot up there, and then you can't really control the lighting as you would in a studio. So this one's not quite done yet. We're playing around with like some lights, and you're talking about a signature thing over here.
Oh yeah.
For people like you would have been the first one to sign it today, but we don't have it. What I guess we could start signing the wall, but we just got it done. So I have Patrick here with the distracted dog, dude. So you've been a great supporter of us for a long time. I mean, before you even opened a business, and now Mojo appreciates your business and the things
Absolutely.
every time you make a purchase and stuff. But so you have a place. You have a place in Peoria. How many square foot is it? How big is it?
It's about 5,000 square feet.
Okay, and then you've been there coming up on a year, right?
Yeah, coming up on 1 year now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. You've had quite the journey. I mean, just like as everyone else does, I guess, doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But when did we meet? Like way back when we first?
It's probably like 6 years ago, like a training picnic for PSA.
Was it the one that did you run that one there, or did Mark run it?
No, that was
or?
Mark's. I was just a decoy at the club. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Mark Harwood. He's in Kankakee.
Yeah, Kankakee. Yeah.
Kankakee,
Bourbonnais.
Bourbonnais. Dude, I love Mark.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Oh, yeah.
if you met him and if Mark hears this, he's like definitely it's got his own stories and
They always say you either love him or you hate him.
dude, you love him or you hate him.
Yeah.
I love him. He was really cool. I mean, that's where I got my first dog or my second dog, Gino, from. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
you didn't know I got Gino from there? No. So, and I learned a lot from Gino. I mean, for me, it was that was a dog that like made me.
Yeah.
In terms of like training and everything that I was doing. I think I was rehoming a German Shepherd, and he said, "Hey, I got a buddy. We were already on Facebook. He was always inviting me out, and I, wasn't sure about driving out an hour and a half.
Such a long drive.
It's such a long drive, an hour and a half. At the time, it was. You just don't know anybody. You're driving out in the middle of nowhere, and I went to drop off this German Shepherd to a retired police officer that was a friend of his, and he took in the dog, loved the dog still this day. And Mark had said, "Hey, I have this dog. Can you come decoy him and assess him?" Right? And it was a SWAT team from Salem, Illinois, and a local county, I believe, and they came out to assess the dog, right? And Mark's like, "Hey, put him on the back tie." I worked the dog a couple times, right? Dog's insane. We're now going to do a search test, right? Like a hunt test, searching for the barn ball in the barn. And I remember Gino kept hunting for me, right? So like I just worked him for a little bit. Then I, stepped aside and said, "We're going to take this dog and get him to search." And he just wouldn't disengage. He was just like, "I'm going to keep looking for you." And so I ended up getting in my truck, and they did the search test. And I think the people that were there assessing him, they were not really excited about the dog. They're like, "Hey, we kind of want a dog that's like ready to go," right? And he struggled to do the search, but it was largely because, I would say maybe the dog wasn't ready. So anyway, so at the end of the day, it's pretty hot. We're under the shade. We got Gino's out in the kennel at Mark's place. There's Mark, there's the officer, and there's myself. And they were like, "Well, I don't want him. Fabian, do you want him?" Right? And I told Mark, "Let me check with my wife." Brittany said no. And then I went back here and got him the I think the next day or the day after that, which, she wasn't happy about, but we eventually
You made it through.
We made it through. And so that's how I met Mark. And I remember the next day I went to assess him to give him a second look. And I had to go out there and get him myself. He was like out in the kennel. I went and leashed him out and put him on the back tie while Leo Hasanaj worked him. And the dog was great. He was super strong, But anyway, that's how I met Mark. And he later put together some picnics, and he was always gathering the PSA community here in the in the Chicago area. That's where we met, right?
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing dogs now?
That was like right at the beginning. I've been doing dogs maybe 6-7 years.
How did you find your journey? How did you get started? And you were doing some stuff with Mark, right? For a while, you were doing decoy work, traveling with him, and everything.
Yeah, that's kind of where I got started. Yeah, that's what got me like really into dogs. Initially, we had like our first German Shepherd, and just started working with her, seeing what she could do. And she kind of struggled with some sort, like she was the pet. She wasn't like the best dog in the world as far as working and things like that. So then I got way more into the decoy side of things once I actually realized there's protection sports and bite sports and all that kind of stuff. And then Mark really took me in under his wing to teach me a bunch of stuff back then. And then I did an apprenticeship with another dog trainer in the area. Did that for like 2-3 years or so. And that's where I got a lot of my like intro knowledge, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously going hands-on, you learn a ton.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. And then before we continue on, so I also want to introduce Ralph. So Rafael, what do you want to be called these days? Ralphie, Ralph?
Yeah, well, not Ralphie. That's
Ralphie. Rep it, Ralph.
You can call me Ralph, Rafael, Rafa, whatever.
Everybody knows Ralph. Ralph, you've been around the dog community here for a while, right? Mm-hmm. Been all over Instagram recently too. Yeah. What's your Instagram handle?
Rep it Ralph.
Rep it
Give me a
Ralph.
follow.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. It was better than, was it Pero?
Yeah, that was
Yeah, I didn't like that.
That was Scott's idea.
That was Scott's idea. Yeah, that was Scott's
But
idea.
then I was like, oh, Rep It Ralph sounds like Wreck It Ralph. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that works out. But anyway, today I want to talk a little bit about business journey. You know, it was funny. I think I put it on IG the other day. You know, asked some business questions, and one of the questions that I answered to was, when do you decide to bring on another trainer, right? And I think I initially thought, hey, like, what's the real answer to that? I mean, probably not anytime soon. Like, people, and it's kind of interesting that we started this conversation this way because of in relation to business. Like, I answered the question and basically said, get people to support what you're doing first, right? So get someone to do the admin work, get someone to do like the kennel stuff to really help you out and you know, the day-to-day of the facilities, and then focus on training the dogs and then doing the appointments, and other roles come in and support the dog trainer, right? And then I think the back half of it cut off, and I didn't bother reposting it because I was like, maybe it's a little inflammatory. But you're kind of in the hiring process now, so you know I'm glad that you know I get to share this story with you. But the way I look at the dog trainer is that really they're if you bring in another dog trainer right off the bat, you guys have, technically speaking, should have the same skill, right? So you have like, you know, in our situation, you have the kennel techs, you have the people that are, you know, kind of learning the industry, and then you have the apprentices, and you have the people that are doing the training. And what ultimately happens is that the dog trainer becomes such a strong relationship maker for a business that when they come early on to, say, a smaller business, they really are like a partner, like a business partner. And the way I look at all dog trainers is that they are business partners. I mean, if you look at what we're doing here, and I'm pretty open with the training team. I mean, we talk about it with Ralph in the training office and everybody else. And I was pretty honest about it with our annual meeting before, at the end of 2024. And I basically said, like, the tier system is that once you get really good at dog training, especially in our system, like, we need you to understand how to run a team, and then we need you to understand how to run an operation. And then in order for us to continue growing, we really need other people to run operations, right? Need to be operators. And that's the part that I didn't put on there because I don't think everybody looks at it the same way. They look at dog trainers like they should come work for me. But in reality, it's like they have the same skills as you. And if you're the business owner, especially like when you're first starting off, they are ultimately sharing the same skill, which makes them equally as valuable. You know, what have you found in your journey so far?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I like to take things really slow. Like, I don't want to get ahead of myself or anything. So I always try to make it where the only time we ever even thought about hiring anyone was whenever we literally couldn't do it all ourselves, right? Like, whenever we're at that point where we're both so overwhelmed that we can't figure everything out, then that's where it's time to, like, look for extra help. But I think, kind of like what you're talking about, I think the most important thing for that, too, is that if you're just a single trainer and you hire on another trainer, like, the issue is going to be that more than likely you guys have different training styles. Like,
Right.
there's 1,000 ways to train a dog, and rarely you're going to find someone that has your exact same style. So now you almost have two brands kind of clashing in one.
Instantly, dude.
Yeah.
Instantly. Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be, I feel like that is what's detrimental to a lot of the other companies out there. Like, a lot of companies try to grow really fast, hire on everyone they can, and then you have 90 different training styles. You don't have anything that's cohesive, and your clients don't know what they're getting or how it's getting done or anything like that. And then you kind of skip over the whole idea of processes, right? You just like, a lot of people can train a dog, but not a lot of people can follow a process. Not a lot of people can follow the standards and all that kind of stuff that you kind of set for your own business. And I think that's what separates, like, why you should hire someone versus just like hiring just to hire and just to say you did it.
Yeah. And I think that's how you prevent a lot of tragedies, right? I mean, I've seen it over and over again that anyone that hasn't been in animal care ultimately makes a severe mistake. Like, they, you know, you were talking about some of the negative experiences you've heard about in different businesses where, like, dogs being left outside to the point where, you know, they pass away, that kind of stuff. To me, it's crazy. I mean, any one fatality or any one thing should be a giant red flag for you, or anyone that's running a business, right? It's like a complete failure of the system. When someone comes into training, the dog really should be getting better through the exposure to you, right? They should be like, my dog came in and he was like maybe a little overweight and he lost weight, and then he learned all these skills through the process, and then he's back at home and I get to use those skills. You never want to have the opposite effect, which is like the dog literally develop some sort of illness. And even for us, whenever something like that happens, if a dog gets sick or is too stressed or is like kennel cough or anything like that, we'll make any adjustments necessary, because the very basis of our service is care, right?
Yeah.
Before you can even train a dog, it's got to be care.
But that's what so many other people skip over.
Dude, all the time.
People's focus on, can my dog sit, or yes or no, and that's it. And there's so much more to it.
Yeah, especially now with like social media and everything that's going on. You try to rush to like be popular, where you should really be focusing on like the ABCs, right, of the pet care industry and that kind of stuff. So you've been pretty successful so far. How long have you had the Distracted Dog for?
Yeah, the Distracted Dog as like a dog training company started back in 2023. So we're on like our 2.5 years or so right now.
So 2.5 years, you started off pretty much individual clients, meeting up in public spaces, like providing that service.
Shout out to Bass Pro.
Dude, shout out to Bass Pro.
We were doing 5 days a week, 8-hour shifts in Bass Pro until they had.
Dude, when you told me that story, I'm like, most people, like a lot of people wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying?
No. It's definitely stressful. Definitely didn't feel welcome all the time, but had to do what you had to do to get it done.
I think I went to Cabela's for the first time the other day too. Yeah. Dude, it's a badass place.
Yeah, it's big. It's great. I mean, you can work on general exposure. They got the fish tank. They got people. They got dogs.
They got the fish.
They got the taxidermy.
Yeah, they got taxidermy. They got random benches for place boards. They got everything you need in there.
Dude, so you were there for what? I mean, how many months?
Over a year.
Over a year. So from inception, how long did it take you to get into a facility?
About, let's see, maybe 18 months or so, year and a half or so.
Dude, that's crazy. Yeah. That's cool. 18 months?
Yeah, year and a half or so. Yeah.
Dude, that's solid. There's a lot of people that can't do that. Most people don't get to that point where they're like, in 5 years, I'm going to build a facility or I'm going to get into that place. And you did it in like 18 months. And we're talking like 0 clients.
Yeah.
18 months to like a facility in 18 months.
I mean, I think one thing people really get wrong in the industry is they think about how many clients they can get, and like that was the opposite of our business model. Like I didn't care if we had 4 clients or 400 clients. The goal is to like keep the client long term, like show them that there's more to do with your dog, like rather than just taking your dog on a walk. Like there's so much more to it, and we have so many clients that are long term. Like we literally have probably like 10 clients that were our first 10 clients. They still work with us all the time because they just enjoy working with us. They enjoy working with their dog. They like having the outlet. At this point, it's just like we built like a community, and they advocate for us and they promote for us. So it really helps out. Like that's what made us go so fast.
Yeah. I think the idea of like keeping clients happy or learning to make clients happy typically gets them to be long-term clients. Because we've lost a couple clients, just for various reasons. We've had someone a couple months ago storm off and be pretty unhappy because we couldn't accommodate a last-minute reservation.
Sure.
Right, and they're like, we got to look for some another place because you guys can't accommodate our reservations, which is actually a real problem for us. Like it's a severe issue. Where there's 1,000 reservations, we can't accommodate this year. Mm-hmm. But the first thing you should do is learn to make people happy. Over and over and over again. We've just had a couple of interactions recently too that it was like their third dog. Yesterday I popped in to the front desk, and as someone was leaving, they were checking out with the third board and train that they've done with us for the third dog, like over the scopes of time, which that was really cool to see. And then we were leaving through Dog Tribe in the puppy class, and someone said hello to us, like, hey guys, Fabian, Brittany, how are you doing? It was a little dog named Hash Brown, and we have raised and trained their dog Waffles previously. So no, that's a huge part that people forget about.
Absolutely. I mean, we're already seeing it just being 2.5 years in. Like we already have people coming with their second dog, their third dog, doing refresher stuff, adding on, all that kind of stuff. So like we completely skip out on the whole client acquisition side of things, and we just get to work with the same client that we know is already easy to work with. They're already good people. We already have a relationship built. So like now we just get to expand on that. Yeah. And it makes things so much better.
Yeah. So what was your process? What made you, so you were a Bass Pro for a while, and then you decided, hey, I need a facility, because you were pretty adverse to expense. I mean, we've talked about it. You were here for a while. I mean, I was like, oh my God, Patrick, you're going to kill me. Like, you're driving me crazy. Like, just find a spot and work at it. Because what was the process? Because we talked about that quite a bit over.
Yeah. I mean, all summers we would be at like parks or the Levee District down by us. It's like a shopping center that has walkways going through the middle of it. So during the summer, we did all of our lessons down there unless it was too hot. Then we'd go back to Bass Pro. All winter, we'd be doing Bass Pro. We did that for probably a year and a half or so, of where it was just constantly out and about in public, all that kind of stuff. And then we just got to the point of where Bass Pro wasn't super welcoming anymore, and winter was
They
coming.
kicked you out, right? What was that story
Yeah,
like?
yeah, they asked us to leave. I mean, they were super cool about it. All respect to Bass Pro. Like I was in a lesson. They waited till my lesson was done. They came up and asked me very calmly. They said, "Hey, we can finish the rest of our lessons for the day if we needed."
For the day, though.
Yeah, yeah.
For
They
the
said
day. That's cool, dude. That's
yeah, they
cool.
said we know you got a bunch of clients coming. We're not trying to kick you out right now, but just for the rest of the week, try to find something else, somewhere else to go. So that kind of pushed us to make the jump a little bit faster than we were wanting to, but it worked out great.
So you looked at a couple of different buildings too, or
Yeah.
was it just that one that you're at right now?
And we looked at probably 6 different spots, and we were really into one. And I'm
Same
so
area or
glad
no?
it didn't work out.
Same.
No, all over town. Yeah, we actually I had no idea where we were going right now. It's like the north end of town. We're from like the super far south side of it, so I wasn't super familiar with the area, and it's turned out to be like the best place ever. Yeah.
But there was one you were looking at before that just didn't work out.
Yeah, there was one we were looking at before it that was like right next to the mall in our area, so I thought it was going to be a good area to be in. It's about 5,000-6,000 square feet, but the rent was probably double, almost triple what we pay at this spot. Yeah, and I don't think it would have worked out as well.
Did you end up getting a spot in the area that you wanted? Because I know you were specifically like some of that was more accessible to your clients. Did you not?
Yeah.
Or this one's further away?
So this one I thought was going to be further away. We were looking like downtown in our city, and I thought that was going to be the best spot because it's right between both cities. Like we have Peoria and East Peoria. I thought that was going to be the spot. But honestly, we went to the furthest north possible. And I was kind of nervous about the area, but it turns out that's where a lot of like the wealthier homes are. That's where a lot of the people needing dog services are.
Yeah,
and I had no
income,
idea,
yeah.
but there's 6 different vets within a mile of us, and they're all referring us now. So that's where we're getting a lot of our word of mouth referrals from, all that kind of stuff. And like that's all just from our clients going there, talking about their experience, and the vets like the experience. They like how the dogs are acting. So now they're sending people our way as well.
And that's cool. So you've been there. So you moved in last November. Now you're like building it out. They're doing different stuff, right? What are some of the challenges, or I guess challenges getting into the space? And then also, what are the things that you've now realized about business? Because I like having the people that experience business. I like it because it makes me feel less alone about some of the things that we gotta deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be the answer like you're necessarily thinking about. Honestly, I think it was bigger in my head than it was to do in real life.
Oh,
I think
100%.
It was way easier to do in real life. It was a pretty smooth transition. I think the worst part is just being around a bunch of neighbors, right? We have other people, we have barking dogs. Like obviously you feel kind of rude sometimes. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing is just feeling like you're invading other people's space and ruining some of their day or whatever. But
Like, are you in a plaza or like a neighborhood?
it's an industrial park area. So there's like, we're in a suite that's got 3 different spots, and then across from us is just one giant suite, but we all share a parking lot. So whenever clients are coming barking dogs, or we get a aggressive or reactive dog or something like that, obviously you always feel like you're kind of invading other people's space, but it is what it is.
Do
It's
people
part of
say
it.
anything or no?
No, I mean they have loud stuff too, right? Like one's a lawnscape place, and then one's like a bathroom modeling place. They're always throwing stuff out, so it's a bunch of loud stuff, anyways.
Yeah. So you don't feel so bad about it.
No,
Yeah. So what's next? So what are you working on other than like camera systems?
yeah, I mean right now just trying to fit out the facility for what we need. Try not to overinvest into it because like we're honestly outgrowing the space already. But we signed a 3-year lease, so we're just stuck there for the next 2 years. But just trying to get into a financial situation that by the end of the 2 years we can move into an actual spot we can buy and purchase rather than rent, and kind of have a bigger, better spot.
What is that? What do you mean? Like you're running out of space, or like
Yeah, so we just did a 3-year lease.
you're running out of space? Like you have too many clients?
Oh, running out of space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we just don't have enough. Like it's got 2 different rooms that are working for like clients, board and trains, that kind of stuff. We have a kennel room for all the dogs. We got 2 offices, and then just like a main lobby area. But the lobby area is not big enough. Clients are like standing on top of each other sometimes. And then just only having the 2 main rooms, like during the winter, there's nowhere for us to hire a 3rd trainer and do stuff, right? I mean, you'd have to be doing lessons in the same room, or board and trains in the same room, or whatever it is. So having a space that's more, I guess, cut up, so we can do multiple things rather than just one giant thing at a time.
Yeah.
Because we're at the point now where we're so booked out we need to hire someone, but I don't know where to put them once we hire them. Right?
Yeah. What kind of positions you hire? Is it like training? Are you handling most of the business stuff right now, or?
Yeah, so I do basically all the business side of things, all the background work, all the computer stuff. Anna does all the board and train. She's like the head of the board and train stuff. So she does all the board and train she goes hands-on with. And then right now we have an assistant for her that does like all the extra kennel tech work, baths, all that kind of stuff. And then can go hands-on to help out with dogs with some of the easier stuff for now. And then over time, hoping that she can grow into a bigger position there. But in the meantime, trying to hire on an additional trainer to take on some of the extra workload we have coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of cool, dude, because you're kind of like proving a kind of like concept that I've had in my mind. I think a lot of the times in the dog world, you have the massive separation between like vet care, doggy daycare and boarding, and then training. And a lot of the training is done like individual, like one-on-ones. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of the boarding train programs. And they kind of treat it as very separate industries versus I really start believing that the two really solid professions in it are training and vet care, like being a veterinarian versus and being a trainer, because from there, like you kind of can direct everything. I mean, if you're in training, you really have a lot of like overflow of business, especially after they completed the training program, right? You do see a lot of that, correct?
For sure.
Yeah. How often do you feel like you have to accommodate a dog for boarding or daycare after you've done training?
So, I mean, we don't do daycare and we only do boarding for our clients. So that's not too much of an issue. But we do run into the issue quite a bit that it's like a last minute, like, hey, I'm going out of town tomorrow. Can you watch my dog? And we're 2 to 3 months booked out right now. So that's not really an option.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like we're having some, I guess, hiccups at this point. Because initially that's what helped us grow our business so much is that we were able to be there for every client all the time. And now we're at the point of where we just physically can't keep up with it. So obviously some clients feel let down. Like you said, you had an upset client the other day. Luckily, we haven't had any upset clients, but obviously you feel like the more you say no, the more they're going to look for other options. And then you might not be that number one option anymore.
Yeah, and then you'll have another facility that opens up across for you that just focuses on boarding to capitalize on that.
For sure. I mean, there's so many boarding places in our town. There's not many trainers, but there's a ton of boarding places.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I wanted to segue the conversation a little bit into what should people know about opening up a dog training business? You know, obviously for me, it's been a little bit of a necessity. Like when we opened up Farm Chicago Boarding and Training Center, it was a necessity, kind of like an opportunity, because we were giving away the service for free as a nonprofit. We're training these dogs for a rescue and these are very challenging dogs. And because they're very challenging dogs, we turn out to be pretty good trainers because challenging dogs and challenging situations make very talented people. So now you can start an actual service from it, right? So we almost like put together the boarding and train program here, at least for us, off of like the need. But you like strategically were like, this is what I'm going to do, right? Like with boarding trains and stuff like that. What are some like things that you would do different now? Like if you were to do it again or advice to people, what are the things that you would give them advice on?
Yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, like if I could restart again, I would try to probably work a handful of dogs for free and then just kind of get client feedback. Like that's what they're paying me is their feedback. So based on whether it's video updates, one-on-one lessons, board and trains, whatever it is, and kind of see what things they would like to be changed about it or what things they would want to be improved. Because like that's one of the biggest changes we made is we changed our board and train after talking with Sal to what he does, and that's helped. Like that's blown up the business.
Are you guys
tenfold.
doing what part of it are you guys doing?
Yeah, so now we do weekends off for board and trains. So instead of doing just like give me your dog for 5 weeks, which everyone always hates, everyone's crying that they have to leave their dog for 5 weeks and their dog's gonna forget them, or my dog's too young to do that, or whatever it is. So now we send dogs home every single weekend. People drop off their dogs on Mondays around like noon, and then we work their dogs all throughout the week. On Thursday, we send a video update. It's like an hour long, breaks down all the training your dogs had throughout the week, how you can go home and do it with your dog. And then on Friday, they come in for a 1 hour lesson, and we send the dog home.
How are you guys working out the logistics? Are you guys doing like, because I know when I talked to Sal about it was a couple months ago, because it was more or less like what is going to work for the clients the best. And I mean, what I had recommended to him is do a giant group class, right? And like lock people into a time that they can come in and do it based on whatever they're working on. Mm-hmm. Are you doing like all the one-on-ones all the way out, or?
Yeah. So we do one-on-ones. We don't do any group classes really. It's something we offer for our board and training graduates and stuff, obviously. But for the most part, it's just one-on-ones because every dog's kind of at a different spot, right? If you start a dog 1 week and a different dog 2 weeks later, like they're not going to be at the same spot for group class. We have a very like structured system for how the board and training works. We work on certain things week 1, week 2, week 3, all the way throughout the process. So we want to make sure that each client gets all of the direct information they need. They can ask all the questions they want, and then at that point we can jump into classes later if you want. And that always fixes that's fixed so much stuff for us. Like clients are rarely ever hesitant to drop their dog off because they know they get the dog back 4 days later.
Yeah, they get
it's
the
not
4
a big
days
deal,
later.
right?
And you find a difference in performance in the dogs or no?
I actually think it's better.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah.
I think it's been way better. Like right now, like every once in a while, we'll keep a dog over weekends, like if they need it or whatever. But we'll still have the client come in for like a 1 hour session where whether it's a lesson or not, just like come hang out with your dog and like de-stress them for us, right? Like obviously being away from home becomes stressful for the dogs after enough time. So like that's one we have right now. Like she's just a super skittish dog, walks around with her tail tucked everywhere. She's just scared of the world. So we have her owner come in every single Friday and just play ball with her for an hour and take her on a walk. And like the next day, she's like on it. Like she just loves life again. Everything's back to normal, and like she's making huge progress that way.
What are the logistical things? I guess that's what I was asking. So like on Fridays, are you just doing one-on-ones pretty much with every single person?
Yeah. Yeah. So we block off all Friday for just go homes.
Got it.
But it's worked out super successfully. That's part of the reason we need to add on another trainer. Like right now, we only do 4 to 5 board and trains at a time. So that gives us the hours in the day to do it. But that's where I'm saying we're outgrowing the facility. Because if we hire another trainer to take on 4 to 5 dogs, we don't have the space to do go home.
Yeah, because that was kind of the thing that I mentioned to Sal was that if you have, and I'll just say it to you, like if you have a couple of dogs, because this is something we played the idea for a while, but I was scared to execute it just because it like literally what you said, it becomes a logistical thing, especially if you need more manpower, X amount of time, and all these, to meet the demand. But I was thinking like, what if you create 3 to 4 different options, like 4 time blocks, right, or 3 time blocks. You have like your intro group, right, young dogs that are doing week 1 stuff. And then dogs that are doing week 2 stuff, and dogs that are doing the advanced stuff, or more like hands-off stuff, and then group people into pairs of like 3 to 4 that are working on a simultaneous thing, because that's something that I think we're heading into 2026 because what I've seen in terms of running the group classes on Saturdays is that people adjust pretty well, but there's also learning opportunities for people. Like you end up like, oh, I see what they're doing with that dog, and I see how what I'm doing wrong. It's almost like it gives them a different example. Have you guys thought about doing anything like that?
Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, we used to do a bunch of group classes. I'm just not a huge fan of it. I feel like a lot of people, they just kind of like there's not all eyes on them, so they don't really try sometimes, or they get distracted, or they're checking themselves out in the mirror, or looking how cute someone else's dog is, right? So then they're not really paying attention to like the materials getting provided.
Are those like
to them.
board and train classes, or these are like
Both, yeah.
Okay.
Because like the issue is like we give them the information the day before, right? So like if on Thursday you get an hour video update of
oh right, you're just there to
of
like
whiteboard material and your dog doing it, so you know exactly what you're walking into and what to expect. So then people come in like, I know what I'm doing, and they just kind of do it. And sometimes, obviously, if you're not a dog trainer, you don't do it right sometimes, right? And they need that one-on-one attention, I think, to fix it. And the other thing is, I feel like that's what has helped us grow so fast is the fact that we do accommodate all of our clients. Like the fact that they know no matter what, whatever time I need on Friday, I'm going to be able to pick up my dog for an hour lesson. Things are going to work out great. I'm going to get the results I need, and I can fit around my work schedule.
Right.
So that's what like sets us apart, and that's why we've had so many people come to us.
bro, you got the sales pitch down.
I hope so.
You got the sales pitch down all the way.
I do
through.
evals all the time, so I hope so. This
Yeah.
last week, or between the last 3 weeks, I think we had like 35 evals. So
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's a lot of evos.
Yeah.
What's the population of where you're at now? Like in terms of like people, it's not like a city of Chicago. It's
No.
It's Peoria.
yeah,
proper?
Peoria. I honestly couldn't even tell you. I'd say maybe 300,000 people or so.
Yeah. That's a lot. You're getting a lot of evals and stuff like that. No, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Getting into the other side of like training, kind of going back to, is there anything you would change in terms of how you've got to where you're at now?
Honestly, no. I feel like what we've done has taught us a lot. Like I think that we wouldn't have grown as much as like people and as trainers as we did if we wouldn't have worked in Bass Pro. Like I think Bass Pro is what made us, honestly. Like on Bass Pro, people would come in for an eval with an aggressive or reactive dog, and you'd have to grab that dog before it starts barking all over the store and start working with it right away just so you could have that conversation without getting kicked out. So like it made us learn to deal with like sketchy stuff really fast and how to like be extremely professional in like chaotic situations, right? Like we really went down there every single Black Friday, every single like holiday event where there'd be like thousands of people at the door, and we were like, all right, cool, let's go in here and train some dogs or have evals this day or whatever it is, be all branded up, and that's like what gave us our name in the area.
Dude, that's cool. That's cool. So you guys are like pretty well known now.
Oh yeah,
Around.
yeah, blue and yellow. See something blue and yellow? See someone walking around with a blue tree pouch or a blue leash? You know it's us.
Dude, and you get the branding down. You're like you will not
try.
accept anything other than like the the hex colors on that.
I
The hex
don't.
color?
No, I don't. I just color match it every time.
Yeah, color match it every single time. No, so that's great. What are in terms of like me, what are the things that I would do differently? I would say probably focus more on maximizing square footage. And that's probably the advice that I give to you, because some of the things that make sense now, it won't make sense at scale, right? But it really depends on what you're trying to do. I think that developing a concept around what anyone is doing is probably the important part, because there's a lot of doggy daycare, like the average doggy daycare boarding. And you've worked at doggy daycare. You've worked at doggy daycares,
I
right?
had never worked at a doggy daycare.
You've never worked at a doggy
I've
daycare?
only worked at Unheim when I was a kennel guy there, but they didn't do daycare.
They didn't do daycare or social groups or anything like that?
Nah, they were like anti-social groups.
Do you like play groups, Patrick?
I feel like I like them because they give us a lot of business, but I don't know if I like them for the dogs as much.
Am I the only person that likes playgroups? I love playgroups.
I think there's an important balance. I think there's too many people that don't know what they're looking at. They send their dog to a group 7 days a week, and they wonder why the dog barks every dog walks by.
Right. I mean,
And
don't
it's
get me
like-
wrong. There's like the yes, there are problems, right?
Right.
And I mean, I'm not a big fan of
I'm not a
dog
huge
parks.
fan of just having like one 18-year-old watching a group of 40 dogs
Yes.
fight each other.
It's
either.
only good if trainers are.
Yeah, like we're talking about, we run like we got like, I don't know, 5-6 trainers running playgroup.
Well,
on
for
like a
sure.
Friday.
Then yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, but most
It sometimes
places
looks a
are-
little silly.
I
to
think
be
we're
honest
the
with
only one that does that. Like I would say, even in the country, like that has trainers doing it.
you.
Or not?
Heather Beck. You familiar with Heather Beck?
Nah.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty good at play. We're pretty solid on it. We got it down the method, like a science.
But you also have trainers assessing what dogs can be with what
Yeah.
dogs and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and it's not just like.
And then we have
I
like
just tested them out with my
we have
dog.
like a whole method of how we introduce them. And
Don't give away the trade secrets. No, I'm just kidding. Patrick already knows enough. No. What I was saying is, what was I even talking about? Oh, doggy daycare concepts. So like doggy daycare and boarding to me are like they're like a concept. That's like a business concept. I mean, it started as in like Stayed Modern Dog Hotel, which is, I worked there for 4 years. And some of these guys that complained about kennel work and whatever for a couple of months, I'm like, I did kennel work in animal care for 4 years before I did training. And then after I started doing some training, I did kennel work for another 2 years. You know what I'm saying? There's just some of this stuff really tickles my brain, because the doggy daycare, boarding, animal care stuff seems very complicated to people sometimes, right? And there's a level of chaos that just exists naturally, from like, you got people with dogs that that they love them. They got people with dogs that shouldn't have them, but they have that type of dog, and you got to help them. And you kind of bring them all together, and you bring them into most of the facilities. Like, I mean, I feel like we've gone beyond that, and you've started beyond that, which is excellent. But they bring them to these places for training with people that are just as confused as the people that are bringing them in, right? Which is crazy. It's crazy to me. And it all stems from like concepts, right? Like there should be pet care concepts. And I feel like everything is like a pet care concept. You have the doggy daycare and boarding, which was originally a pet care concept, right? Like, hey, I need to go on vacation. I need to drop off my dog. Someone needs to take care of my dog, right? So then there's a business that evolves around that. And just because the business and the industry evolved around that, it doesn't mean that is the most ideal way of doing it, right? And that's where dog socialization and doggy daycares and 18-year-olds watching waves and tsunamis of dogs and playgroup become a thing, because dog socialization is actually the hardest thing. It is actually very, very, very hard. And so you need people that are like true professionals doing it to do it safely. And most of the times, and when people argue about whether or not that's true, it's because there's successful doggy daycares and stuff like that. They have a big volume. That's just out of sheer luck. A lot of the times the dogs are just so like overstimulated that they can't really focus on what's going on. But I think the new pet care concept and the whole thing that I'm basing Dog Tribe off of is the ability for a good trainer and capable trainers to not only do a great job with the dogs, but then use those dogs to create an exclusive client base, right? Like all your dogs, like you train some of them and then they're like, Patrick, board my dog. Patrick, at some point, they may even do doggy daycare and stuff like that. Doggy daycare for us is probably more of a break-even situation or kind of an expense than it is anything else. I don't want to say expense, but when you look at it, it's very complicated, it's very challenging, and very high traffic, but somehow it's less than boarding across the industry, right? Where I feel like it is easier for a dog to come in for boarding and it is harder for a dog to come in for daycare, right? But I think that that's where the industry's heading is specifically as you're building a business or anybody, like, you know, when we have our trainer share like Ralph, like jumping in and some of these meetings, I'm very clear with the trainers on what the industry is turning into, in my opinion, and that is the pet care concept that once the dog gets into training, before it needs to access daycare and boarding services, it should complete training wherever it's gone, right?
Sure.
Have you built a concept around what you're doing? Like, what is your greater vision of your business?
As far as what aspect of it?
Like, what do you like? What is your aim? Like, I guess aspect of it would be like, what is your business? What, like, everything? How can you summarize your business in one sentence?
That's a good question. I mean, it's not necessarily one sentence, but I feel like one thing we get from a lot of our clients as feedback is that we kind of make them into like little dog trainers themselves. So I feel like the one thing we focus on a lot.
That's really cool, dude. That's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing I feel like we really focus on with our business is making sure that the client like understands how to deal with like random situations rather than like understanding how to like hold a leash properly or something, right? Like I feel like a lot of places focus on like if you do X, Y, and Z perfect, your dog should perform, rather than like your dog's not always going to perform. There's going to be things that are going to draw them out of it, and that's how you deal with it.
Like, you're just on it start from the start, which
Yeah.
you should be. Which is like, this is like, it's almost like creating a clear reality that they're signing up for.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always bring in some of our dogs as well for evals and stuff like that. And I'll show people, be like, hey, like, you probably think this dog's perfect, don't you? And then they're like, yeah. And I'm just like, well, there's this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. Like, nothing's ever perfect. The goal is that we can get them as good as they can get, right? But they're not ever going to be perfect. And the most important thing is you're able to manage your dog and understand when things are going crazy or when they're not being responsive and how to like fix that problem, because that's going to happen. You can train a dog 1,000 things and the 1,001 things going to pop up and you're not going to know what to do. So it's important that they understand like what to do and how to be capable of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is gonna be edited, but I forgot what I was gonna ask you.
I don't know what you were gonna ask.
What was I gonna ask you? So what is your, I mean, I guess, what is your long-term vision for your business? Because you're at that point yet. We've talked about it in our chats before. Like, what is your long-term vision for the business? Because you got to figure it out. Your business is growing. You're busy. What is like your biggest problem right now?
I think the biggest problem right now is finding enough help for the work we have coming in. And I feel like that's gonna be a consistent problem for a while until we kind of reach our kind of usual capacity or what our max capacity is going to be, and then we'll kind of adjust from there. But I think right now we're kind of at capacity for what we have going, so it's figuring out how to grow that without changing anything. I think that's the biggest thing that we're focusing on right now.
What do you mean changing anything?
Making sure the product stays the same, making sure that the client stays happy, making sure that if we hire on someone different to do what we're doing, that they're doing the exact same thing or as close to that as possible, to make sure that, because we know what we've been doing is working, so making sure that we don't change that on the client just because we're growing, right? I think that's one thing people do a lot is like they start to grow, they start to kind of see things working for them, and then they just flip the business on its head and do something completely different.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah,
crumbles, right?
Yeah.
Like I think the most important thing with where we're at is just sticking with what we're doing and making sure it's as consistent as possible, and then expanding as we can. I mean, I think long-term goal, like we want to get a property that's like a farm type property that we can have like everything kind of out of home essentially, but at home still. So like we can have training spaces, fields, multiple different training rooms, kennels, all that kind of stuff on like one property that we live on as well. So that way we can always tend to the dogs whenever we need to. We have all the access to everything we need 24/7 basically. And then clients can have access to see literally everything all in one spot.
Cool. I'm out of questions.
What do you got?
So are you at capacity right? Like, are you consistently at capacity now?
Yeah, so as of the last like 3 months, we've been consistently booked out 3 to 4 months at a time. So now it's just like I'm happy with that amount of booked out. I feel like at that point, if we go too much further out, then we have a lot of like random changes, cancellations.
Yeah,
whatever
at some
it is.
point there's like an attrition.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I don't want to get too much further than that. I want to keep that same 3 to 4 month out kind of capacity, but be able to expand with more dogs, more trainers, and that kind of stuff over time to make sure that, yeah, like I said, we're keeping everything the same but bigger. Yeah.
That was your question,
That
Ralph?
was my only question. I guess another one would be, are you worried that the demand for your services will get so high that you won't be able to like cater to those clients because there's so many that are going after you that the wait is probably going to get so long that they might just move on to other
For sure, yeah,
businesses.
yeah, and that's why we want to try to grow now, because like I think, like I said, I think 3 to 4 months out is like as far as I feel comfortable trying to book out to. I see it time after time already of where I do an evaluation. People are like, let's go. I'm ready for it. And I'm like, all right, the one downside, can't start until.
Dude, they get so excited. They get so excited about that.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, we can start you November 22nd. And they're like,
Nah.
come on. Like, I'll let you know. I'm going to check out other places now. Right?
Do it, and then you make accommodations, and that is the worst habit to get into,
Yep.
right? Because you'll make some accommodations, and I've seen the training department do this, where it's like, we say yes to so many things, and you're like, okay, now it's like everyone's working around the clock to make sure
And
everything's
everyone
getting
gets
done.
burnt out.
Yeah, it's like you're getting everybody, but it's also like, I'm a very like self-serve type of person, right? If you want to do it, especially in the training side of things, because I'm trying to create future business owners. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to create future business owners. I want to see this industry grow. First of all, I want to see this industry change because I feel like there's just so much like BS in it. On the daycare and boarding side of things, for sure, right?
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt, there is. And everyone knows about it, and the amount of turnover and things that happen on the daycare and boarding side. But also on the training side, the training standards are just so low, you know? And so in my mind, it's like, how do you build something with people specifically knowing that they need to have somewhat similar skills, right? Passion, motivation. And, that's the reason I do what I do. I mean, that's the reason I was like, build the training department the way you do. And I think you should do the same. You should also hire some of our students when they start coming out. For sure. In terms of like being part of the academy. But basically, that's our goal. It's like we need to be able to take a kennel tech or a student to an operator of a business and without losing quality, right? Because I think that's the biggest challenge. And I don't feel like everyone can do it either.
No, definitely not. And I feel like what happens too is whenever people start to grow, they start to neglect the like foundational things. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like the cleaning side of things and stuff like that. Like if it was just me and Anna still, then yeah, we like with the amount of workload we have coming in, we would end up neglecting some of those things inevitably, right? Because dogs are going to come first, right? You got to make sure you feed and water and take them out and all that kind of stuff. So cleaning would eventually get neglected. And I feel like that's where a lot of people struggle is they try to take on more than they can actually deal with. And then they skip all the like little super important things that don't seem important. And then that's where you get like cross-contamination issues and dogs getting sick or injured or dying or whatever it is.
Dude, don't even say the last one. Oh my God.
I know. Yeah,
oh
it
my
doesn't
God.
make
The
sense.
fact that that's even a thing, bro.
Yeah, it really makes no sense. But like, luckily we're able to find someone that's been super helpful with all that kind of stuff and like just be like a little assistant, like whatever little thing we don't feel like we can get done in the day, help us out. And it works really well.
Do you use that hiring process? Like the one that I covered with Sal? Or that
I don't think you covered it with me.
No? Oh man. We gotta do one right after. We gotta do one, probably another podcast on this one. But yeah, so we have like an updated version of like, I mean, it's basically a sales process. Recruit, create flow, and then filter out through questionnaires, score questionnaires based on a point system in the rubric. And then if you have a passing score, which used to be 75%, our passing score to get hired or get a work interview used to be 75%. But I noticed between 75% and 80%, the candidates are very different.
Sure.
The very different. Like, and I'm not saying like different as individuals. I'm just saying like different as in like performance, right? And I figured out that anyone between 75 and 80% needs a little bit of like career CPR right from the start. Like you're like, you need a coach. You need someone that you get to work on time. How are you feeling? What are we doing? Let's stay motivated. Let's get on task. Where's your list? Like that constant management aspect and motivation. And what I realized, people over 80% of that, they are like almost ready to just be in the career and in the role.
Sure.
So at this point, I got to share that with you.
I mean, that 5% could just be the difference of attention to detail, right? And like with dogs, that's all.
Only
it
a
is.
person that is obsessed with attention to detail would say something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's true. Like, how well did you read the question? How well did you think about the answer? Like, all those little things go into it. Like, I feel like that's one thing we're kind of struggling with creating more trainers for ourselves is like they can do the same things we do, but they don't know when to do those things, right? Or why they're doing those things.
Nuance.
They just think because I did step one, now I do step two, but they don't know why you would do step two or when you would use step two. And I think that's where like attention to detail really comes in and being able to like read and comprehend rather than somebody having
Do
to
it
read
in
and
on the training
comprehend
side
for you.
And especially on the training side, that's the difference. That's the difference between following process and actually applying science real time, right? Because you can follow a process, you can lure a dog into say, you can teach that to everyone, right?
Sure.
But what happens when the dog doesn't want to lure? or maybe isn't luring to the intensity where they can follow and go into behaviors, right? Now you end up in a situation where the process doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. And what happens when the process doesn't work? And that's where you have to use applied science to kind of like, oh, if that is true, then I should do X, Y, and Z to troubleshoot, et cetera. But Ralph actually took that question that I was talking about, because that 5% is a big difference.
Yeah, I passed.
He's clearly here.
76.
Yeah, got that
Ralph
76.
Ralph survived multiple waves of he got a 76. That's hilarious.
I didn't even do the kennel system here, and I passed.
Oh, there you go.
Dude, he survived a couple of Armageddons.
Yeah.
Or not Armageddons.
I've done like every industry, like every
Position
besides the
here.
kennel. I've done every position.
Yeah.
You've done a couple of times here in the technician stuff.
Yeah, I've done like a couple days of kennel.
Yeah.
Just to see what it's like.
Sure.
But the transformation between Ralph when he first started to now, it's been really cool because he's in the training department, he's an assistant trainer. What did you think about that questionnaire when we sent it out to you? Because obviously,
long.
I want to give some background before, because you were in the community in the local PSA French ring
Yeah.
community, police dog.
Well, I
You
was
were-
training with Adrian for French ring, and I was training with Mark Harwood for PSA. So I was training with both of those guys.
Yeah. So you were around for a little bit, and when you reached out, I literally was like, I know you're from the community, but I've been burnt by so many people of the community, right? Because you just don't do due diligence, and I'm done taking people's word for it, right? People are saying like, this person's great, and then I believe them, and I don't like it. Anyway, so Ralph reached out. I was like, I'm looking for a position. I was like, here's a questionnaire, right? I was just like, boom, here's a questionnaire. Answer, and we'll get back to you, right? It was a pretty long questionnaire, right?
Yeah, it was long. Because sometimes I would just like, I would get questionnaires before, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to bullshit through this. But this one was so long, it was like, it'd be faster just to be honest.
Yeah.
Dude, that's and honestly, but that's all you're looking for, right? You're looking for honesty to really understand whether they're the right candidate or not. But honesty in itself about your own goals, wants, reasons to be in the industry, it shows on the piece of paper. And that's what the scoring is based off of. Like, are you actually telling the truth, or are you saying what you should say in an interview, right? Because as much as people want to make this industry about, I don't know, like maybe this sounds terrible, over professionalize it or over standardize it, you have to find a way to give direction and provide structure and a standard, understanding that there is an organic connection between humans and animals. Specifically dogs, right? Where they evolved. I mean, I'm not an ethologist, but the way they evolved and everything else to, being here with us and being our pets, there's definitely some sort of connection there. You have to find a way to assess that connection and guess what that type of person that is. And is that type of person the one that's going to end up killing a dog or not? It is crazy to me, right? Whenever you're hiring someone or you're going through the process, and I look at a client coming in and they're very happy with their pet. And they're like, I love this little fur child, part of my family, and I'm going to drop it off at this place of business for your people to take care of. And you're happy with them, you know them, you build a relationship with them. And then for sure you got to do your due diligence. For me, it's like, no, I'd much rather not hire someone than ever take a risk again on someone that that doesn't answer with detail, right? This isn't transparent. But what were some of the questions there that you remember that are like, oh, that question's like,
Man, that was like over a year ago.
come on, Rob, it's supposed to be meaningful to you. That's why you're here.
I think one of them was, what was like a situation you got into with a coworker? Like, was there ever a difficult situation with a coworker, and how did you deal with it? And then I was like, I don't know. I never really got into a situation with a coworker like that. I'm pretty easygoing.
Bro, we should read. Ralph, we're going to read your questions on here. I don't know if there's any HR or human resource law that prevents some of this. He is giving permission.
Giving permission.
He's giving permission. All right, hold on real quick. You got to pull it up, Jeff, because we have a new one now. Now we have a new one. There was the old version, which is the overall questionnaire. It was like an employment questionnaire. And it was 25 questions. Now I've expanded it.
It's even longer.
It's even longer now, but it's so adequate, dude. It is like,
You do it before the interview?
yeah, dude. Why am I even going to spend the time with someone? And I'm not. And here's the pitch for us, right? Back to what I was saying. We're trying to go from kennel tech to operator. I want to make business owners. I want to make business owners. I want the people that love animals, the people who are capable with animals. everyone's always worried about like, was someone's gonna, take care of the, take your business or any of this. Dude, I think that the last time I checked, the industry is supposed to double in the next like 5 to 10 years. That's a lot of things, right? There's a if that were to actually be the case, which I think it is, based on like the amount of dogs people have, the dog. I mean, we see here in Chicago, it's one of the dog friendliest places. There's so many animals that licensing is for sure on the horizon. I mean, it's probably more of a thought than people would think. Two, you need people that are like true professionals, right? You can't have someone, dude. When someone says, I'm just interested to see if it's going to be a thing that I do or not, or I enjoy. I'm like, nah, bro, nah, no, thank you. Because if you come in here and you make a mistake that in some way hurts a client or a dog or a trainer, and then you get to go about your way and you're like, oh, I guess I'm just I guess I just get to move on with my life after that person, I've hurt a dog or caused some emotional damage to people. And I'm not okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's why it's like a dog owner that just adopts a dog from a rescue and then brings it into a regular doggy daycare without any assessment, without an investment in training, that's also wrong. You shouldn't do that. Anyway, before I rant anymore, we should do that. That's actually comes up in the Tech 1 stuff. So like part of the tech assessments or the apprentices on there is that they have to go back. We grade them off the same rubric and they have to meet a minimum of like 80%. That's like the newer ones.
Oh, is that the computer thing?
Yeah. There's a whole new now like training GPTs on this kind of stuff. It's really, really cool. I'm going to have to show you off screen. But now we have a couple of different categories, right? So the first category is connection and intrinsic motivation. That one's cool. Like connection and intrinsic motivation. Like, what do you know about the business? What do you know about what we do? Do you have an intrinsic connection to the animals? Like, why do you want this position? Right? Sometimes people have like, I've always wanted to try it. And it's like, well, that's a red flag, right? I like the people that are like very committed to it. Like, I've always wanted to do this. I am committed to doing it, and they give different examples, like very straight to it. There's one on communication. Communication is huge, right? Like attention to detail. Are you communicating the right information? Are you not communicating the right information? What information do you think is important versus do you think is not important? As crazy as that sounds, it's a very something that comes up occasionally. Connection and cultural fit. That is the number one thing. I mean, it sounds like crazy to me, and I could be like I don't know, you can call me a crazy person, but complaining and whining and like hating your job, I'm not all about that at all. Like if you hate your job, like please, you have our permission to leave, right? Like that. I mean, dude, that's the truth. Connection, cultural fit. Like people there's plenty of social media content and all sorts of education. Like people that are top performers, they want to be around top performers. They like the crowd, they like the drive. These guys went to conference for the ICP conference. We were grinding it out 7 a.m. to like 11, 12 p.m. every day. And then Ralph wanted to go out drinking anyway. And then these guys will go get lost. And then they show up the next day and they're getting after it again, right? Over and over and over again for like 7 days. And not everyone can do that, and that's okay, right? But, if Ralph said, hey, you know what, I'm going to sit it out today, we'd say, okay, cool, that's awesome, you can do that. But knowing how to communicate, knowing how to, like, work hard when you need to, that's all, like, of building good culture. Commitment, that's another one. Coachability. Like, if you're a person that's going to get offended for us saying that something that is true, that's going to be a problem. If we say something like, hey, you are not very good at this and you need to do X, Y, and Z, and you have to be worried about my word choice, you're not an apprentice for me. Yeah. Right? You're just not I'm not going to be worried about it. Dog training is already so hard and things are so complicated that it doesn't need to be, anything else other than that, and not any harder. Skills and preparation, like are they doing specific, are they doing things to prepare for the role? And then there's physical ability and readiness. That was the most recent one that I added. Physical ability and readiness. Like, what are the things that they're doing? If you want to be a trainer, you have to. It's a very like. is very dependent on your physical ability to do it, right? I mean, where we're going, we're walking everywhere. We're on our feet a lot during the day. We're luring dogs. We're doing all these specific things like that require a lot of flexibility and ability to do that. You know, but anyway, back to Ralph's story. So what's your experience been here like, Ralph? Now that you've made it and you've been hired, what's your perspective? Because we're talking business a lot here, from our side of things. What have you see from your side of things?
Well, I kind of saw it as a roller coaster because where I first got hired, it's not even a thing anymore.
Yes, R.I.P. Chicago Canine.
Because I just wanted more like exposure decoying, dealing with the working dogs and all that kind of stuff. And I still do, but it's like it's different. It's like more still pet level. But I feel like that's helped me a lot to communicate because a lot of our clients are very high maintenance and they really they baby their dogs. Like it's literally their baby. So I feel like it helped me communicate with them, keeping them happy and sending them photos and all that stuff. Because if I miss a day of sending them photos, they're pissed. But I feel like it helped improve me a lot as a trainer and also just like just from like a business standpoint. When I do run my own thing, now I know how to deal with those clients right off the bat, and I don't even have to worry about that.
Yeah, dude.
I'm just used to doing that now every day. Taking pictures of them, making sure the dogs are healthy. If they have like a medical thing that I'm noticing, I always let the owner know as well. So then once the dog goes home, they're not like scared of it because they already know what's happening.
For sure.
But I've kind of jumped through every group here because I was at Chicago Canine, then I did Pup Start, trained the puppies, like the super little ones. I did Pup Start Plus, trained the older puppies. And now I'm in the training office, which is completely different from that because we get dogs that are like straight from the shelter and they're a couple years old. They got mental health issues. They got regular health issues.
They got regular health issues.
So it's figuring out a way to kind of be the dog's therapist and also teaching the owner how to deal with that kind of dog too. Cause
Do you guys get a lot of that? A lot of like crazy behavioral cases?
No, honestly not. No. I mean, we get a lot of like reactivity, that kind of stuff, but like true aggression, no, not so much.
I wonder, like, do we just get like the city dogs or what? Because the Chirac dogs, that's what you call it, Patrick.
Yeah, Chirac. Yeah,
I think city dogs are more aggressive than like small town dogs.
yeah, probably.
Because even in Mexico, all the dogs there, they're like all on the street, but there's barely any dog fights. They're all just kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. It's a wild experience being there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Watching the dogs in Mexico. But yeah, I feel like we could sometimes even like film a show in the training department because it's a little bit like we call it like the front lines of dog training over here because we had someone, Hallie, who's one of our apprentices. She was rotated in from Pup Start, so we do like the little rotations. You should consider that. I think like I don't know. I'm trying to plan together some sort of like you need people that kind of train the same, and we need to rotate people into different environments. Which would be kind of cool in the future. But anyway, we had a rotation with Hallie, and then she's coming from Pup Start, right? And Pup Start's like raising puppies. It's a very sweet program. It's cool, very technical, like highly technical program. And then you get into the training department, and you get like the pitties that are trying to come up the line, and then you have like the Malinois, and then you have the other pitties that are trying to bite you.
They're trying to bite other dogs.
They're trying to bite other dogs, and maybe I don't want to give them a bad rep. I love those dogs, but there are some traits that you see, and you're like, okay, well, that's not going to go very far.
And then we still teach those dogs to play in group.
And then you still teach them to play in group. Yeah, no, it's crazy. All right, Patrick, let's get back talking to business. What are the things you wish you knew before starting your business?
I guess being better at like trusting other people and being able to ask
better.
for help.
Being better at trusting other people?
Yeah, and being like able to ask for help more. Like it might, obviously with you, I ask you for help all the time, but for the average person, I don't really ask for help or reach out too much. So I think that's one thing that's really helped us grow our business is being able to actually outsource things and have other people help out with things and stuff like that, rather than feel like I have to do everything myself or Anna has to do everything.
Yeah.
That's like made so much stuff easier.
I feel like that's a huge thing for you too, because you've like, I don't know if you have trust issues or what, but You're just very particular about.
I'm just specific with what I want.
You're
What
very
I
specific.
like.
I mean, that's a good thing though. That's probably what's making you as successful as you are with following your process and sticking to a recipe that overall works.
Yeah.
You know, Ralph, what are the things that you wish you knew about training before you joined the industry?
Um, I wish I got like when I first started, I feel like I had issues like building engagement with the dogs. We kind of just like got right into training. We didn't even do engagement exercises.
Is that specific to like? I guess what I meant that
Oh,
is
you just mean like business wise?
just the industry. Yeah.
I wish I would have had the opportunity to get more practice communication wise with the clients because I feel like here initially I really struggled with that
Yeah.
because I got like a not like a ton of bad feedback or anything like that, but I would get like texts and I'd get stressed about it and wouldn't really know how to respond or what to do in that situation. So I would text you about it. So I wish I would have gotten a better understanding of that earlier on. But other than that, not really too much. I feel like I got a good foundation of how to take care of the dogs and all that stuff from my old job. I think they did a good job of that. Keeping track of all the dogs being healthy, if they got injured, stuff like that, feeding
Yeah.
them, keeping them clean. So it was more the communication thing. I think that was always like my weak point. And I'm also like a quiet person as well. So I think that would have helped me the most.
I think for me, the things that I wish I would have known about the industry and something that I had to truly get focused in on was that that dogs can like actually learn and like do things. And I think that's still a lot of mysticism around people and trainers, right? Especially the pet dog trainers. I mean, even some of the working dog trainers in terms of like how they approach handling certain situations or handlers, that you can actually like train something. I wish I would have found some mentorship. I think that's kind of why I'm obsessed about mentorship. Because
What do you mean, like train something?
like how you can tell a dog to sit and it does it. A lot of people say old school, like pull up on the leash and tell the dog to sit, and that's the phase they stay
Oh,
at.
so
The
it's
rest of the
like they have to feel pressured.
yeah, they have to feel pressured. Or when you tell the dog, hey, bring that, or hey, right here, walk next to me. The like dogs actually learn a position next to you that has a reinforcement schedule that was built over history and time and repetition, right? All these different things. But when you first start in the industry, you don't really even believe that. You know what I'm saying? You don't even believe that. You just, especially, there isn't a lot of people that can actually do that. Here in Chicago, I don't think there's a lot of people that can actually condition a behavior, right? I mean, I think that's industry wide. So I wish I would have known that that was a thing that you can do, right? It's almost like a closely held secret by a lot of like sport dog training. And then I wish I would have found more mentorship because I didn't do that. It was just like figuring out the hard way, and doing the best you could. And now you have a lot of young professionals or like people that are like reach out and they're like, hey, I am interested in being mentored or being an apprentice or X, Y, and Z. And it's like, I never thought that way. I never thought that way. And I think that was like caused a lot of pain.
For sure.
I think another thing I struggled with was when I was first starting out, I tried to teach all these pet dogs like stuff too fancy. But that's something that kind of works against you because once you start hyping them up like that, it makes them like
Yes.
a more amped up dog, and that's a terrible pet dog. Like Simon, he's a horrible pet dog.
Yeah. Anything flashy is just like, that's not what they need. They don't need flashy. They need
Yeah.
like reliable and,
So
consistent.
I wish I would have learned like sport training and pet training completely different.
Another one. What are some mistakes that you guys made that turned out to be a great lesson?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like what he was just saying. I think that's actually something me and Anna were recently talking about. Is just like change our product a bit of where we aren't making dogs so like excitable. Like we didn't have a fine line between pet obedience and competition obedience. It was kind of like teaching competition obedience and letting it water down to become pet obedience. And lately we've changed our process to be more along the lines of actually just like they're completely separate things and not amping the dog up too much. And the results have been so much better, for sure.
I feel like I was originally a little too hard on dogs. I think I put the pressure on too soon. Like with the tools, never did like light e-collar pressure first, and then I would usually do like I teach the dog all the behaviors with luring, and then once they're doing it on verbal, then I just do high stem.
Like correct them for not doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And that's crazy. I mean, you're saying it here very transparently, but that's a very common practice still. It's still in training, like just assuming that the dog understands the context. I think all of my lessons really come from, I guess some of them come from dogs and some of them come from people. I would say not knowing how to choose people to trust, right? So I've been burned a lot when it comes down to like investment in time and energy that doesn't lead anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Invention of time and energy that doesn't lead anywhere. And over time, we got pretty good at selecting people that have the same ethics and views on the things that we want to achieve, and kind of building that together. I think that's a huge part. But you don't learn that unless you like try, right? With you guys, if you guys make those mistakes, it's because you weren't listening, not because of any other, not for those other things. And with dogs, who I would say there's probably one that is attempting to fix a dog with severe aggression, attempting to fix or resolve severe aggression, and being too confrontational with dogs with that kind of aggression, right? Sometimes when you're like, you think you can interrupt the behavior or correct the behavior, but if you're not careful, you actually make it worse, right? And you can exacerbate that behavior. And I think I've learned enough lessons with that, where it's like the least confrontational I can be with a dog or an animal, the more I'm always going to take that approach, right? In terms of like whether it's a resource guarding issue or whether it's a leash reactivity issue, whatever it is, I'm going to be the least confrontational possible to not risk making the situation worse, specifically if the dog doesn't have some sort of background in training to understand the context. And then the final question for you guys before we wrap up: what are the things that you guys would, or actually here, what advice would you guys have for someone just starting in the industry today?
As their own business or just as a dog trainer?
Just in general. You could say for someone just starting off their business.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a business perspective, I think just don't grow too fast. Like I feel like I see it all day, every day, where there's a new business pops up. They have 9 trainers, and all of a sudden they're gone the next day, right? And like, I think that it's really important to listen to the clients first and foremost. Obviously, know how to train dogs. Like, don't take people's money if you don't know how to train a dog. But if you have that base covered, you know how to take care of a dog and train it, then don't grow too fast and make sure you listen to your clients. Like, I think those are the 2 most important things. I think being personable, being reliable, being professional are all super important for clients, and that's why they pay us what they pay us for what we do. I think that a lot of people try to neglect those things or brush past them or just try to be someone's friend to get them to sign up. And that's not always what the client needs or what the dog needs.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me it would be kind of just sticking to one training style in the beginning, like figure out which one you kind of mesh with the most. Because I feel like what I struggled with, I would do so many different types of training styles with my dog that it ended up making my dog super confused. I mean, me confused because I couldn't remember which style was which, and I feel like it caused a lot of conflict between my dog and I, and it kind of muddied the obedience a lot and kind of the clarity in the relationship between my dog too, because it never really the dog didn't always understand what I was expecting from it, and it led to worse and worse behaviors. So I think just finding a style that works with you, make sure you pick the right mentor as well, so you're guided down the right path. And then once you have a good foundation, then you could start experimenting with different methods and stuff like that. But I think it's good to build a solid foundation first.
Yeah. I think one other thing too is like, I think it's something that everyone that starts their own business encounters, and that's just don't be afraid to like select your clients. Like, I feel like that's something that I would always trust my gut, and I'd be like, man, I don't know about this client. Like, they seem like they're going to be a hassle, or they seem like no matter what's going to happen, they're just not going to be happy or whatever it is. And I would just, you know what? Like, we need the money. We're trying to grow a business. Like, let's take it.
Yeah, not every dollar's the same.
100% of the time, it's been correct. So, like, just trust your gut. Like, don't work with the clients you don't want to work with. If you don't get a good vibe from them, you don't feel like they're going to be a good client, you don't think they're going to follow through, then, like, trust yourself. I think that's something I've learned the hard way for sure.
Yeah. For me, for business, I would say learn to say no sooner than you think. Right? Because if it doesn't align with the things that you're doing, it's going to be a distraction. Right? If it's a dog or a client that maybe it's not a good fit, it's going to cause problems down the line. Right? So, like, learn to say no about the things that that you need to say no to, specifically when they don't line up with your goals. And then two, find creative ways to fund projects that do not involve debt and investing a lot of your own personal cash. That's probably the newest one for me.
What would be that example? So far, we've taken on zero debt, which is the goal. But what are some ways you?
I would say there was a time where I was. There was a time where like I would charge, or they would pay their boarding trains at the very end, right? And so there was a lot of like strap for cash, right? This was early on. It was like maybe 12, 13 years ago. And so learning to like pay a deposit, right? Secure the spot, pay a deposit, pay half when you start with the program and then go on with things. And I don't know if anyone's listening to this. It's going to listen to this podcast, but I'll tell you a brand new one. Use a pre-sale approach to funding larger projects. And that's something that would be super beneficial to you, especially from your long-term client base, like getting people to commit to bigger packages that are going to give credits for future opportunities. You know, that's and helping them fund a project without through sales, like pre-sales, instead of like borrowing money or coming out of cash for your pocket. That's a good way to continue growing your business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I would study more is creative financial models in pet care. So, all right, guys. So the rambling is over. Let's go find some non-dog related to do tonight. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We jumped around for a little bit, but thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.